So, continuing with more episodes of Figure It Out. Today, I have a person whom I worked with probably 7 to 8 years back, and I have very fond memories. Not so fond memories. We used to argue a lot, but now she's a good friend of mine. So, welcome, Durraiyaa, on the show.
Hi, Sajan. Thank you for having me on your
You're
show.
actually one of the first few people who calls me Sajan.
Really, it's always Saj.
It's always Saj, and it goes back to a point in college. This nickname got coined in college. People, I guess, used to find it very weird to say Sajan, right? So they started calling me Saj, and it became so synonymous to me. Someone called me Sajan, and I didn't respond to it because was so used to Saj.
No,
right?
but I would want to add this that I think your name is so unique and I can never forget your name because of all Bollywood songs. So जब भी वो गाने बजते हैं साजन जी घर आए and everything I'm like bro
childhood
Sajan.
trauma याद आता है याद मत दिलाओ यार. Yeah, anyway, but your name, man, I mean, just like before we start, like, what does your name mean?
So Durraiyaa is actually an Arabic word. It
Okay.
means precious gems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Precious gems.
And as
ये
you
थोड़ा
are,
not so precious gems है, but gems है.
and the way you are so, accustomed to being called as Saj,
Yeah.
I'm accustomed to people not calling my name right. So I'm actually surprised when people get my name right. So
did I get it right?
yeah, you do, and
You do.
people have cut it down to like
Duri.
Dur, and ultimately it's D.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just
D, bus ho
accustomed.
gaya.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about it.
Cool. So do you want to like start off with like a quick intro about what you're doing right now and your education and your background?
Okay. So currently I am kind of heading an agency. It's my own baby. It's something that I started it.
Nice.
So I'm the owner, the CEO, and everything of that.
मैं यहाँ
But-
का जयकांत शिकरे.
Yeah, but the journey, like
Yeah.
कभी सोचा नहीं था I would be here. कभी किसी का खुद का agency बनाना करना ये कभी it was never on the cards. So schooling हुआ. I was like a very good girl, very obedient. मम्मी पापा का सुनो, teachers का
Yeah.
सुनो. Very very obedient. Went on to become like a
You're one of
sports captain.
you know those nerds.
Nerds and that very good girl type.
Pigtails था क्या?
हाँ, obviously वो तो होना ही था एकदम चंपू बन के जाओ and
Yeah.
stuff. And then school got over because till school you are always told what you got to do. You go from
Right.
this standard to this. You got to get good grades, extracurricular activities. You're there. You're checking all the boxes out. Now you're out. Now you have choices to make. Now you got to be out there in the world and figure it out for yourself. So
The name is so apt.
I think I'm just going to use it a couple of times because it's
Please
been
do.
my journey of
Absolutely.
figuring it out. all
And I
along.
think that's what
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you over there, but that's what I want to do with my podcast. Like help people figure it out because we are figuring it out, and we were just discussing before we shot this. Like we will keep figuring it out till we
Figuring
like
it
die.
out. Absolutely,
Right,
absolutely.
So yeah, please continue. Yeah.
So then I had to make choices, career choices to begin with. And somehow I thought I was really good at studies and, I'd go on to become a heart surgeon, not only a regular doctor.
Sida
So
heart
science
surgeon.
really, our parents were very happy, bachcha acha kuch karega, And then I was studying for my CETs and my CATs and I'm like, I can't do so much of studies. I can't.
I
6
can't
years.
read so much.
Uske baad specialization, I don't think I've got into me. So I was pretty realistic at that particular point, and I was like, "Abhi kya kare?" Dad is like, "Continue with your BScs.
Yeah.
Don't get into psychology or interior designing of all the crazy ideas of the world I had at that time." So I'm like, "Chalo, we'll continue." And then while I was doing my BSc, I figured I was more creative than just being a nerd. And then again, you have career choices to make. Everybody was pursuing their masters. People were doing their MBAs. And I'm like, ab kya karu main? Now I'm again lost. Because I had never planned it out for me. And whatever I had planned, it never really worked out for me. So I'm like, what the hell should I do? I think I was in a kind of a temporary depression at that time because I was completely lost. Everybody was doing something. They were attending college. They were doing some kind of job. I was at home just crying at times, stuffing my face into the pillow. I'm like, I'm so lost. And then I'm like, chodo yaar, we'll just take up some jobs. I kind of joined my father's company also. But those things didn't work out for me.
They didn't give you that.
They did not really
satisfaction.
resonate with
Yeah.
my calling of what I wanted to do, my creative pursuits and everything. And then suddenly one day out of the blue, I'm out with my friends watching a film and I get a call that, listen, there's a job opening for social media marketing. And
This
I'm
was
like,
which year?
this gotta be in 2011.
तब तो social media was only
कुछ नहीं
Facebook.
था. I'm like, क्या है?
YouTube was just starting out.
Absolutely. So that is how I started, and people would ask me like, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I'm into social media marketing." Like, अच्छा, Facebook और YouTube पे बैठने के पैसे मिलते हैं.
That's what I used to say. I get paid to be on Facebook.
So I'm
Be
like,
jealous of me.
absolutely. So I'm like, जी हाँ, उसी के पैसे
के
मिलते
मिलते
हैं.
हैं.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's how it went on. So I started it in a finance company.
Okay.
And with no finance background. So you imagine where I've come from.
Yeah.
I've come from a science background, getting into creative pursuits, and into a finance company. And then, you know, I changed my jobs. I went to an agency where at one point in my time, I was handling 10 clients single-handedly with no proper support in terms of creatives or graphics and things. You were just figuring it out all by yourself at that moment as well.
Yeah.
And I think it was at that time where I think I got burnt out. And secondly, I thought that there was way more I could do, way more I could offer. So I'm like, chalo, we'll do something else. And I got an opportunity to consult with a brand.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let's take this plunge. It was like, you cannot be on your regular
so you
job.
moved towards the brand side. जो
Yeah.
हर time agency में जो लोग बोलते हैं मेरे को brand side जाना है, you got that opportunity a bit, and you took it.
So basically, my whole idea was that, you know, I'll do this consultancy part-time and I would keep my regular job as well.
Yeah.
But these guys were pretty strict and they're like, no, we want
That's
you
kind
to
of
be.
bad.
Yeah, that was. And even though I was not required to be at their office all the time, they just asked me that you cannot continue with other company.
It's kind of sad.
I'm like, okay, this is pretty difficult because you got to leave something which is a solid, it's like, you know, full-time job ka there's this whole guarantee that, okay, it keeps going, and something which is temporary like a consultancy. But then I think that is how destiny works, and you just take the plunge.
Yeah.
So then this led to me starting with consultancy. Then I started getting other projects. You know, I kind of got some people around. Then the whole idea of, you know, starting an agency happened because there's a lot of demands coming in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gap. There was a lot of you know, there were a lot of people looking out for things where we could add value to it.
You found that gap in the market where you were able to value add.
Absolutely. And that was the time where people were kind of trying and recognizing the importance of digital marketing.
2015, 16.
15, so 15 to 17 is the period that I'm talking about.
Over time pe first mover advantage mil gaya to mil gaya.
Yes.
Right now a lot of people have tried to get into digital, but it's just now a price war for everyone.
It has become because after COVID.
Yeah.
And especially during COVID, I remember everybody just jumping up to digital marketing. Why?
Yeah.
Because that was the only thing that was working.
Arey engineer log aa rahe yaar.
That was the only thing that was working.
There's so many people I know who are engineers who are joining digital marketing. No offense to engineers, but like stay in your field, dude. Like there's specialized people like us. Like यार तुमने जो किया वो करो ना.
नहीं यार तो ऐसे मत बोलो यार तो फिर मुझे क्या बोलेंगे लोग.
But still, at least you are there from the start. Your job is right from the start where you were inclined towards this.
Yeah.
There are people I know who are like
they had no other jobs. People were losing their jobs, so I think everybody jumped in. And of course, then
I'm talking pre-COVID also.
Okay.
I know people from pre-COVID who are into this.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a different story. Everyone found their calling. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But though that's a bubble that is kind of bursting out right now. People are, you know, just getting into it because they feel it is cool.
It's the most exponentially growing field at the moment.
I think, and it's also like very less capital required. Very less capital required.
Very less capital. But that's, I think, a myth.
I mean, for specializations, I feel that, say for example, people who are actually studying it and everything, like I studied BMM, I did my media management and everything, and then I got into it. So I spent a good amount of money. You are good at it because you were inclined towards it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
There are people who can actually invest their time, and if you want it, you will get it. Right? Right?
Yeah.
There are people who just do it because they feel it is cool.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, there are people like that. I think that's pretty much the case in everything. But no, coming back to your agency, I'm like, you know, what's it called? Like, you know, you want to like run through like the inception and, you know, getting your first client, the feeling you had, and, you know, how is it going, the journey? Like 6 years now?
Yeah, it's about almost 7 years now.
You had COVID also for a couple of years.
Yeah, COVID as well. So it's called Digital Fix.
Okay.
So the whole idea is that, you know, we would want to kind of fix problems that people have. So even if it's businesses, you know, they're not working, we would want to have the digital fix.
Correct.
So that's the name it was kind of coined. So I remember that, you know, that first client that I was talking when they wanted something. So it was for a dentist.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that ma'am, I would want to refer her ma'am, and she was completely newbie to social media or digital marketing. And today she's become actually a social media queen in her circle.
Wow.
Yeah, personally, she's become a social
So
media
you
queen.
helped her get there.
I helped her get there.
Your mandate was to make her the.
So there are a lot of people who knew nothing about social media or digital media marketing. So we not only help them kind of, get started with it, but educate them as well. So
Right.
that has always been something with our company, with our agency, that we're not out there only to kind of make profits. We're actually out there to help you with your problems, give you creative solutions.
I think that is also true in life, because that saying that you have, like, teach a man to fish, you catch a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish.
No, it's you give a hungry man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach him how to fish, he'll eat for his life.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry, I got confused. But that's how it is, right? Even in agencies, I've seen that people try to be insecure about things that they don't tell their clients, and couple of years later someone pitches to them, "Arey dude, we'll teach you this," and like, "Arey mera agency mein to mereko bataya nahi," and then the loss of trust comes into the picture.
Absolutely.
I think trust is a very important factor in your business.
Absolutely. So that is what Touchwood, I would say that, for us, it's been more of, references that have worked. And because we have always kept our ethical practices on point at every time.
Yeah.
So be it at time of pre-COVID where people knew nothing about it, during COVID where people were really struggling and wanted to kind of jump on the bandwagon, and even after COVID, we've kept our principles very much into the place. We are there to help you. We may give you optimal solutions for every buck that you're spending. And no, boss, we don't want your extra paisa from your pocket. We'll earn it from our mehnat, That's
nice. Ethical hona chahiye. I think ethics is the only thing that keeps you alive.
Absolutely.
Because that's where you get the good references. वो बोलते हैं ना कि मेरे को मेरे हक का चाहिए.
Absolutely.
I'm not asking more, I'm not asking less.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down. This is what I deserve. This is what I want.
Yeah. Because see, I understand businesses do have their own set of rules.
Yeah.
But then it's okay, It's all right.
How about when you've been where were the times when you were like, yaar ye nahi hoga?
Oh my God, it happens every single day. I wake up every single day and I'm like, nahi hoga yaar, kaise hoga?
Yeah.
And Sajan, I must tell you that, we have grown because of these challenges.
Right.
Okay, because we started off with something offering a consultancy. We started offering social media marketing. People demanded. People were like, can you do websites? We were like, yes, we'll do it. You can do SEO. Yes, we can do it. So for every challenge, we were like up for it, like, yes, we'll do it. Of course, kaise hoga was the second question,
But that attitude was there.
Yeah, so we have grown. We have kind of expanded ourselves into that verticals where we never kind of knew we could do those things as well.
Right.
So right now we are offering everything. We are a complete a 360-degree digital marketing agencies offering all kind of solutions. So आप जो भी मांग लो हम करके दे देंगे.
What about the times when you were like, probably like having less clients? I'm hoping you never had that situation, but I mean, it's just a part and parcel of being in a business, right?
Yeah.
Where you were running low on business. Like, what was your thought process? Like, did you think like, okay, let's get some investors on board? Did you try to get some investors on board? Are you still looking? Like, how's the experience been?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer that in two parts. Okay. I'll tell you the investor part later on.
Okay.
So yes, we do kind of have these cycles when the work is low, the clients are less, and then there are times when the client and the work is so much that we feel the staff is very less.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's always gonna be this cycle where you have more of clients and lesser staff, so you have a staffing problem, and that is the time
do you think that have you seen that pattern like consistently for the last 6 years, or is this like
it's not been for 6 years? I think it's going to be more since the COVID era.
Okay.
Yes.
Are people shifting?
People are shifting way more frequently,
quickly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were always we've been in that cycle where we have had a staffing issue. Then we've managed to get staff and good experts and good professionals, and then we would suddenly not have clients. So that balance that you got to maintain is a task every day, every single day. But we do get by, and then of course we do have referrals coming in, and then the investor part. We've met investors who are saying, "Oh, but you got to have that fire in you. You don't have that much of fire.
लगा के बैठ जाए क्या bonfire?
आप बहुत complacent हो गए हो." And I'm like, I do have a lot of fire. Just because I'm content with what I have doesn't mean I don't have that fire. I'm not ambitious. It's not like that, But I think we would want to do it with more ethical manner, and that is how we lead it. And touch wood, another blessing is that we are a completely bootstrapped company, and we are so far till now.
That's good. I
Yes.
mean, that's you बोलते हैं ना खुद के बलबूते पे कर रहे हैं,
Yes,
अच्छी
it's a
बात है वो.
completely bootstrapped company.
One another thing, like, there's a lot of talk about this thing recently. I haven't done it, but people around me have. What are your takes on digital detox?
Oh my God. I think
Because we are in a digital world right now. Everything is digital, from like your metro tickets to everything. Like आजकल तो रिक्शा वाला भी GPay लेता है, right? So it is all digital footprint, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you have, like, to say about a digital detox? What are your thoughts on it? Is it possible? If it is possible, what are your thoughts on it?
Having a digital marketing agency and saying digital detox is like खुद के पेट पे लात मारना. But
we'll not show it to the clients or prospect clients.
but see, I think it's something that you cannot lose it. It's not something that you can completely avoid it. But yes, periodically you should have a digital detox. Sadly, no.
Have you?
Unable to do it. Unable to do it.
You got to consume content.
You
but do you
have
think
to.
Do you get
You have to be connected all the time.
But do you think that काश कर पाती?
I think उसके लिए हम एक पेज बना देंगे. I think that is going to be it, where you're still consuming digitally, and then you can give out tips and everything. But it is necessary. Maybe not to do it for a longer period of time, because which is not possible. But maybe kind of a weekend or maybe a day where you're traveling, or you kind of just make sure that you're in areas where you get no network. Mental health and digital detox actually go hand in hand in today's time.
Right.
I think I know of so many young kids, who are getting into depression and are anxious because they're consuming so much of content.
Yeah.
They're getting to read these comments that they come across, and it's actually affecting their mental health.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to tell them that it's okay. This is not the real world. This is not what it is. It's a made up thing.
Yeah.
And that's where that digital detox, where you go and connect with your friends, like how we are sitting across, it kind of helps you with gaining so many different perspectives, and not just those streamlined perspectives or the marketed perspectives that the brands want.
Yeah, digital detox is kind of needed when you want to get back your mental health.
I think it is kind of needed as well.
Have you ever been affected by negative comments? Have you ever got negative comments?
No, not really. I'm quite a private person, so I kind of choose what I want to put it out there. But sometimes, validations kind of really matter. When you're putting out a photograph or you're putting out a video and then people don't really respond to that, you're like, oh, is it not good enough? Am I not good enough?
Do you know, like, this is this thing on my phone.
Yeah.
So I've created that folder I have an Android, right? So I have a folder for all the social media apps I have.
Okay.
The name of that folder is Need for Validation.
Need for Validation, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not even lying to myself. That is actually the name.
Wow, okay. So that's what I'm saying. So not about negative comments, but validations do matter. If I'm putting out a story, I think it's funny, but hey, nobody's really giving me a laughing emoji.
सबको अच्छा लगता है 15 comment आए उस पे. Everyone checks कितना
so I am good, I'm bad. Oh my God, that kind of validation is something that affects me even now. I would say I'm being really honest.
So do you think it's healthy in the long run?
No, so it's not healthy.
How are you trying to remedy that?
Remedifying it by loving my own self and thinking, ठीक है, नहीं आया comment, ठीक है, मुझे अच्छा लगा, मेरा Insta feed है, I'll put it out. You like it or not, that's a different story.
This is where I think I've kind of identified 3-4 people who I know are not going to be biased.
Right.
And whom I can take constructive criticism from.
Right.
So see, from your point of view, you're running an agency, so obviously your clients need to hit the campaigns, right? Hit their KPIs. For me, now, the other day someone was asking, how many views do you get? I said, and but after a point, I stopped bothering how many views. Obviously, I feel good that if I look at my views, like, last 28 days, I got like 1,000 views or something. So I feel good, but I'm not running behind
it.
Right. My job is like, I feel I'm just putting content out there. If it resonates to even 2 people, I'm happy.
But you know what, Sajan? There is this myth that has again been created during the COVID era, that the more numbers you have, the better you are. But from where I remember starting my social media or digital marketing back in 2011 and 12, it's always been about content.
Correct.
Even Google says that aap content populate karo.
Correct.
Numbers will happen.
Numbers will happen.
That's how SEO works.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what is this whole thing that no, you have to have 1 million views, you have to have 1 billion likes. That will happen, and that's why people are going for paid views.
I was just telling you,
तुम भी डाल दो 50,000 तुम्हारा podcast का
I was just telling you, right? Like I have about 1,600 followers on Instagram. I posted that protein bar ka picture yesterday.
Right.
3 people texted me like, how is it and all.
Absolutely.
2 people actually bought it.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is the kind of,
because you've been consistent with your content.
Exactly. I mean, it's taken like what 1.5 years. To get here.
But see, that is what you can understand at a personal level, or because you're a digital marketer.
It takes investment. It takes investment of time and efforts.
Absolutely. But,
right?
but do brands and clients understand that?
Well, I would say yes to a certain extent, but they don't want to.
How many?
They do understand, but they don't want to understand it. There's they're trying for a quick fix because obviously the capital burns out at a quick rate.
Right. And that's why we are digital fix. Yeah. We don't offer quick fixes all the time.
I would say I've been on the brand side also. I am on the brand side. I understand that, you probably just have 6 months capital left. So you have to
you have to show results. You have to show those numbers, and it's all about ROIs.
Absolutely. Like, it kind of gets very tricky to find that balance between actually building a brand to actually just getting the sales number into the picture.
Yes.
And people who've maintained that balance only have survived.
They've gone on to become bigger brands.
Yeah. Probably, I'm not going to take their names, otherwise I'll have to charge them. But I have a few brands at the top of my head.
Absolutely. And I think it also depends on the brand's vision, because there are people who would want to start off and they want to become bigger in like overnight, but that's not how it is. Like we are discussing about this case right now about the vision and how they are they've started catering to a Gen Alpha, people who are born after 2010. That they've started making products that caters to them. I mean, wow, what a vision.
क्या पता 3 साल बाद तेरा ये वीडियो वायरल हो जाएगा कोई.
Oh my god. तुझे स्पॉन्सरशिप मिल जाएगा.
ऐसे कोई जैन अल्फा देख रहा रहेगा, अरे मेरे को एजेंसी स्टार्ट करना है. At the age of 18 I want to become a billionaire. How to start an agency? And like they come across your podcast and like, oh nice, ऐसा इन्वेस्टर ऐसे भी होते हैं, ऐसा करना पड़ता है.
Oh my god. अरे एजेंसी रन करना मुझे लगा था. See, I'll tell you why I also started an agency. यार, I cannot clocking in at that 10 o'clock यार. मतलब 10 का 10:15 हो गया, आपका आधा सैलरी दे कट ऑफ. I'm like, boss, how?
जेल में रह रहे क्या?
In Mumbai, you have traffic.
Absolutely, dude.
How can you really control that?
Absolutely, you can't.
I'm like, I cannot do this shit. All right. And secondly, because my dad's been into business and I've always had this entrepreneurial mindset, so I always thought like, you should have something of your own. And that is where it started. But then once you start, it's fine. But then once you kind of keep going onto it, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not.
At one point in my life,
how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I have done everything, Sarjan. I've done everything by myself.
You have to.
I can say this with a lot of pride that I've also been serving coffees and teas.
Absolutely, you should.
For my clients, because you cannot escape and say no, boss. I'm like the boss. मेरा काम नहीं है ये. You cannot do that.
कोई काम छोटा बड़ा नहीं होता.
So a lot of people do also have this mindset that no, now I'm the boss. I'm not going to do this. It's my company, boss. You got to work, and I'm the king.
You cannot forget where you've
started from. Absolutely.
You need to remember your roots, and that will sustain you.
Also the purpose.
Yeah. What got you here? The drive. Never forget that drive.
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing catching up. Lovely talk, and good luck for your agency. Digital Fix. Nice. I like the name. So any parting thoughts that you'd like budding entrepreneurs, people suffering from, not suffering, people wanting to go on digital detox or wanting to switch careers, anything.
From my life, I would just want to sum it up into one thing is that, everything works out. I've been pretty lost. I've been actually trying to figure it out all my life. And I think I am still, and I will keep on doing that. But I think everything really works out for you eventually, And you just got to keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You will find your way out. And There is this really nice quote that I'm inspired by, and that's by Harivansh Rai Bachchan. For people who don't know, that's Amitabh's father, who has been a
We're
poet.
catering to Gen Alpha, right?
Yeah, so Aradhya's great grandfather, if that is how I would want to put it out too.
Nice one.
You know, so he says, "Man ka ho to acha, man ka na ho to aur acha." Okay, so you got to figure it out. It will come to an end where it will be good for you.
Yeah.
So that's how about it. And people who want to start their digital marketing agency, do it out of passion, do it out of purpose, do it because you want to do it and not because everybody's jumping onto the bandwagon. You know? Don't do it under peer pressure, because while it looks very rosy from the outside, when you get into it, you know what the reality is, how difficult it can be, how it can pull you down every other day.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to rise to the occasion. You got to be there. You got to rise up to the challenges which are there.
Absolutely.
You know, when somebody comes across and says you have to work for 70 hours a week, then what are you going to do about it?
I've stayed quiet on that. You know, I very categorically stayed away from commenting on that. So, 40 hours I'll work for a living. 30 hours I'll work for myself.
So you will work 70 hours because you want to work, you want to grow into something, right?
Yeah.
So that's how the mindset works.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting to, that as an agency owner, you know, it was about not working, but I think I've spent working way more than when I was on a job.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, even I have a very strict thing. Like this time I'm getting done from work. I don't reply to work emails. The rest of the times, whatever I want to do, I want to build myself. That is how I'm able to build out all these content pieces. That is how I'm able to work out. That's how I'm able to keep myself sane.
Right.
Right. So I think that's very important that you work 78 hours a week. Amazing. But how much of it are you allocating to yourself?
Your own self. Yeah.
Right. Because you need to believe in yourself. If you are not, it's not necessary that you start an agency, you need to start a business or anything. You can be your own self. You can do something that gives you happiness, that actually transfers into you being good with family, with you being good at what your job is, efficiency, which we talk about.
So I think we can sum it up saying that, you know, you focus on building something.
Yeah.
Rather than just doing it, you build it. You know.
Yeah. Cool. Absolutely. Yeah. Perfect. Good chat. Thank you for coming, and I hope the coffee was nice.
Absolutely. So
I liked you didn't take sugar.
No, I think your show is great, and the whole figure it out, I really like it, and I would want to keep on plugging it into every conversation.
Next slot jo print karega na, ek teko t-shirt pakka.
Perfect. I win my coffee, not coffee hamper, but I win my t-shirt.
You win a t-shirt hamper. नहीं धीरे धीरे वो बटन ब्रेसलेट वगैरह सब चालू करेगा, जैसे पूरा दुकान लगाएगा मैं फिगर इट आउट का. Fridge magnets, सब everything, even spec frames and everything.
Spec frames, wow, you're ambitious, dude.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you for tuning in, guys. Hope it was slightly different than my previous podcast. Like it was a little bit more directive towards a certain topic, not going everywhere. Hope it helped. Yeah, and stay tuned for more episodes. Take care. Cheers.